Welcome to Xy'mox's Charity Cash, a raid race for charity through some of Shadowland's greatest raids with two of the world's greatest guilds. I'm Dratnos, joined by some of the world's greatest casters as well. We've got Nagura, Xyronic, Tettles, Makes, and Krista as well this week. And we've got a very cool event going on. Zyro, what's the idea of the event?
Well, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's the first time we've done a raid event, an official, Blizzard raid event for like 8 years, but essentially we're just playing raids for charity right now. Both of our teams, Echo and Liquid, are going to be in Castle Nathria today, and I believe Sepulcher tomorrow, killing 8 of the bosses. With a little bit of a twist, they're going to have 2 of the Fated Affixes per boss, and at various checkpoints throughout the raid, whoever gets to that checkpoint first wins money for their charity. Now, of course, both teams win money for their charity regardless of who gets there first, but if you get there, you win a little bit more. Also, you get bragging rights over the other team, which is pretty important.
Yeah, the 2 Fated Powers thing is a interesting twist on this as well. Tettles, how do you think that's going to affect these raid fights compared to what we've been doing with just one on live?
I mean, the Creation Spark, at least on live, has been known to cause some problems. It's like that soak circle that you end up dispelling off, and so I suspect that in conjunction with other affixes could cause issues. The big thing that we don't have, or now we have listed here, is that the item level is capped at 280. That's going to be really difficult being able to do these bosses at 280 item level.
I mean, where's the fun without a challenge, Tattles, right? So we didn't want them to just, we want them to speed through, but we also want to have fun. So I think it makes a lot of sense to cap it just a little bit.
Now, our guilds are also going to have 2 lifelines that let them go from 2 Fated Powers to 4 on a boss, which is pretty crazy. And also, sort of, us on live servers next week are going to have that power as well. Starting next reset, you guys will all be able to opt into an extra Fated Power just on the live servers as well on each boss. Should be pretty fun. Nagura, do you think that reward is going to justify the risk of the extra Fated Power?
I think so. I think it's also going to be really good for the viewers today to see what Echo and Liquid are going to be doing with those 2 powers. Because, of course, having the affixes is a challenge. You have to deal with them. But then, of course, you also get the reward for doing, you're going to do more damage if you execute the powers properly. So I do think if you execute it properly, you should be enabling those 2 powers on live servers as well next week. But we will see how it works out for the guilds today.
Now, each raid, we have 2 checkpoints scattered throughout the raid, and, of course, the end of the raid. Krista, how do these work? Oh, you may be muted in VMix.
That's no problem. We're going to get her back in a second. That's a rite of passage.
A time-honored tradition.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So basically when they reach the checkpoint, whoever gets there first
so we have the checkpoints. How do these function? What happens when you get to each of these, Krista?
Yeah, so basically when they get to the check...
Is she muted?
Now you're muted on our side.
Muted in the Unity.
Okay, is everything actually good?
To be unmuted on both.
Okay.
There we go.
By the way,
okay, they can probably hear you, yeah.
Just to make this clear, these were Dratno's instructions. Gonna pass on the blame here, so...
All right. A likely story.
All right, sorry about that. We're actually here. Basically, when they get to the checkpoints, whoever gets there first is going to donate, or going to be able to donate the larger amount. And the good thing about this is even if someone gets there second, there's still going to be money going to the second place charity. And yeah, that's probably just the general gist of it. I think that's when we're going to be running into the quizzes as well. So, and if, based off of how many you answer wrong, some of the players or raids are going to have to face some of the raid curses.
Yeah, we have some nasty curses that whichever team is in the lead, they're going to get a curse, and the more of those questions they get wrong, the worse it's going to be. The good news is they will get to decide which boss they want to put it on, so they can maybe try and minimize the damage that way, but we have got some nasty curses lined up for them, so should be pretty fun to see them try and overcome that for charity. So let's take a look at who our 2 raid teams are. Up first, we have Echo, currently the world first guild, European team, and we have a little bit of a video to introduce them.
My in-game name is Scribe. My in-game role is I'm the raid leader of Echo, and also the co-CEO of Echo at the same time on the business side. I started my journey in World of Warcraft very early in vanilla days as a child. But then after a long break, I came back with a lot more friends that I made IRL while not playing World of Warcraft and turned them into World of Warcraft players, created a guild called Rapid Eye Movement. And with that guild, we just kept progressing until World Rank 6. And then eventually we merged with Method. The biggest influence, the good influence was perhaps Roger Brown from Method.
I'm Roger Brown. I'm the co-GM and co-CEO of Echo, and I've been playing World of Warcraft for over 17 years. The thing that I always found exciting in World of Warcraft was the bosses themselves and coming up with strategies, how to defeat the bosses in the best way possible, the most efficient, clever use of game mechanics, as we like to say. So when we formed Echo 2 years ago, there were a lot of difficulties. We definitely were inexperienced in running an organization.
The last year where we progressed for a month, that was really, really tough because we were actually before the tier close to a disband. And that was like, yeah, quite emo. I remember going on a fishing trip with my dad. I didn't know what to do. I was telling my dad as well, like, I don't know if I'm going to stop after this or something because it's just, it was really hard to recruit players. And I got a phone call from one of our officers who has nowadays stopped and telling me that Noggy's guild disbanded and that we can recruit all of them. And I was super happy. By far the hardest moment was when we left Method and then built Echo. I was just on my PC all day. I couldn't see my wife that much. I'm pretty sure I was talking a lot more to Roger than to my wife.
We've put a lot of effort in improving the Race to World First events that we've done. Every time trying to raise the bar and bring the best content out there for the viewers.
Pressure, I handle it by honestly just enjoying it because to a degree it is like you do get these anxiety attacks before a race to World First, but at the same time I try to enjoy that part of the stress, and when race to World First gets closer you're like, oh, there must be something I missed, and you look over it again and again, and there are things you missed and you will have to deal with them mid-progress sometimes. World of Warcraft has impacted my life in many, many ways. I think it is part of who I am at this point. What I studied, I started to use in World of Warcraft as well. My coding experience. I learned about project management. I learned about leading a group of people. I lived a whole life that was all about World of Warcraft, really.
So coming out of a win in Sanctum of Domination, we still had a lot to prove in Sepulcher. We didn't want it to be just a one-time thing. When we actually, after a grueling 18 days of progression, managed to get the W, the built-up emotions from all of those days just exploded. We've made a big effort to doing a lot of charity events, and we're very honored to be partnering with Direct Relief. We want to do what we can to support that great cause.
That is the story of Echo, an incredible story going from almost disbanding in WoD all the way to world first now out of on the Jailer. So very impressive guild that we've got from the European region. Really, Tettle's just a powerhouse of a team, right?
I mean, they always show up. They're very clutch. They've also participated in raid races in the past, and I'm really interested to see how they do today. Obviously, it's not exactly the most serious thing, but Echo historically takes things very serious, even though they're for charity or for fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's for charity, right? If you're not taking it serious, then, that you're getting less money for your charity, right? So I'm sure Echo are... They've got plans. They've got ideas for how to approach these different bosses. Should be really cool to see. They are going up against North American team Liquid, current US first team, with actually a world first in Castle Nathria, which is the raid that we are going to be seeing today. So they are definitely not a team to be underestimated. Xy'mox, as a former raider back on this roster, what's the overview of this guild?
Just a bunch of dudes who like playing the game who happen to also be really good at it. I mean, that's kind of the vibe the guild has had for the past 7 years. Notably, if you're looking at the roster here, somehow one of their players has just decided to give the wrong name to Blizzard and put it on the roster. I don't know how Shakib got his name as Paolo on here, but sure, why not?
I have a question. Why does everybody start their first letter with a capital letter except for Fired Up, which is all lowercase?
I think this might have been a Fired Up Shakib partnership deal where they just got away with something. I don't know.
Also because Fired Up is really small IRL, so he doesn't want to capitalize.
That's not true.
Really?
Wow.
He's really tall.
I was like a head taller than you, Nagura. What
was
do
a
you
joke.
mean?
I'm learning so much about this guild, but we've got even more about their recent history in a little.
I'm Max. I'm the GM and raid leader of Liquid, formerly Limit. So I got started initially in Wrath, and I played really casually. I was so bad, but I was loving it. You know how those times are. And then I just loved raiding more than anything else. It was just the most possibly interesting thing to me. So I've just always been someone who, at a group project, is just gonna assume a leadership position. It just comes really naturally to me. I wasn't a leader for the longest time in WoW. Actually, I was quite the opposite. When I was playing, especially when I was younger, I was the kind of player that was like turning his music up so loud that he couldn't hear. As I've gotten older, I kind of got back into my normal tendencies. Going for our first raid, basically in Blackrock Foundry, was like when we formed. You know, we went on all the way through Legion, did really well, got like a world 5th, and I think like a world 3rd or something at some point. And then we were like, okay, you know, we might be good at this. And then just, you know, in Old Year, 5 days before it came out, we just decided, hey, why don't we have no idea what we're doing? If we ever want to do this, and a lot of us do, the best way to get experience in doing it is actually doing it. And that's just kind of been the beginning of the race to world first. We came onto the scene as soon as it started getting streamed, and then it's like just been that way ever since Old Year at the beginning of BFA. I mean, you can like watch that video. That was pure elation.
Come on.
I don't know, that was like a life dream getting realized kind of thing. The biggest thing we'll probably have yet to, I guess, overcome was definitely the last raid. I mean, that was, you know, raiding at a location with a lot of people out of their 20s, you know, playing from a facility, living out of a hotel for the first time in their lives for 30 plus days.
We're clearly going to lose, like 100%. Like we are, straight up. Like they're going to kill a boss tonight. We have no chance of killing tonight. It is almost impossible to maintain being motivated when everyone is dead tired and completely mentally exhausted. So basically the plan is, I think we fly home. I think we fly home tomorrow. People need to go home and do stuff. They're miserable.
Like that was like an extreme mental thing to overcome, and we've overcome it as a team, but like we haven't done it in performance yet, right?
Are proud of what we did, right? Like there were things in this race that we did really well. It's just now this is at a point where I feel like mental health is a real issue.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's everybody. I can't imagine. Like we're not playing. We're supporting, and we're exhausted.
That's definitely the hardest thing the guild's ever gone through. That's probably the hardest thing any guild involved in that has gone through. You know, we've had a lot of people like just grow and create friendships. Like some of my very best friends I will ever have in my life are people that I played WoW with. Also, raid leading has taught me a countless amount of skills that if I were to ever not do this, seems unlikely at this point. It's taught me a lot about like leading and like running and setting up a guild business and talking with sponsors and just everything like that is like just business 101. I know so much about business just from, you know, practical experience. And that is something that WoW in a way has given me. But I don't know, I think more than anything else in life, a lot of people who are successful capitalize on a big passion that they have. And hopefully they're good enough at it to make it their job. And that's something where WoW has taught me a lot about, you know, being super passionate about something, and an avenue happened to open up for that, and it was really nice.
That is Team Liquid, US First Guild, and they are going to be going up against Echo. Two very, very strong lineups, but we're starting off in Liquid's hometown here, Castle Nathria, where Liquid are standing on the world first. Here are the checkpoints. So checkpoint 1, we've killed off Shriekwing and Huntsman Altamore. Those two bosses aren't in our event today. We're starting off, it's going to be on Hungering Destroyer, but we are already underway into the game as the bosses have been pulled by both teams. So here we go.
Dude, look at this. They already have infinite moats out on both sides. It's really important that whenever you get the moats out, you commit a lot of your offensive CDs at the beginning there, so you can get 40 stacks of that buff.
Yeah, I mean, look at the boss health here as well. Echo coming out to a bit of a lead already on damage. I mean, let's take a look at these damage meters as well. We have an extra Warlock on the side of Liquid, so for quick rules... We're only allowing them to play 2 of each spec, of each DPS spec, and 1 of each healer and tank spec. But Liquid are saying, we would like an extra Warlock in there. We'll just have them play Destruction and Demonology, right? Pretty cool setup.
In addition to that, like the guilds can't swap characters mid-run, but they can change like specs or covenants. They can change like specs mid-run, and so that's why you'll see some of their healers end up playing DPS, especially for these early bosses, as both of the teams are 2 healing it.
Yeah, I remember we were taking a look at this yesterday, and we were seeing some of the setups. I remember I got to see a little bit of Echoes and seeing like they were all running different healers and getting to see Scaris DPS. And I remember during the race, I don't even think we really saw Zotzi at all because, you know, shamans weren't doing too hot. But yeah, it's the scaling and everything that's happening. I'm surprised like how fast the boss is going down because I think they actually had to make it a little more difficult.
Look at this, yeah, Echo used their lifeline. In the bottom, you see they have all 4 of the affixes committed to this Hungering Destroyer, getting it killed off very fast.
I mean, I think that just goes to show the power of the Fated Affixes if you use them to your advantage, right? They've killed this boss while Liquid are still at 25%, instantly going over to that teleport vendor. And they're making their way now towards Sun King Salvation. Both teams, we have 3 Ret Paladins on the board, or we had 3 Ret Paladins on the board. Now we have some swaps coming out, but Dryny even on the side of Liquid, playing that Retribution Paladin.
Why is Scott 6th or 5th in damage right now on the Guardian Druid?
Huh. I would imagine it's just Venthyr Druid cooldowns lining up with all the Fated powers, really cooldown-based damage. I'm not sure. That's crazy.
Really curious to see what other bosses they end up using the Fated Affixes on. It does make sense that they would kind of use them on the ones where they don't have things where you can get the whole fight interrupted by like something phasing, and then you're letting a lot of the damage buffs go to waste. So I guess at first I was surprised to see them used on Devour because that's such an easy fight. But I'm just wondering, like, what do you guys think about like the next fights that they may use their lifelines on?
Yeah, getting all of the Fated powers. I feel like Hungry Destroyer, it makes sense because it's not going to like make the fight too hard, right? Mm-hmm. Some of the other fights have mechanics that are going to be causing you problems, but Hungering Destroyer, there's really not too much else going on, so you can just deal with the Fated powers. Both guilds now are getting started, actually. Echo already entering the intermission here on Sun King Salvation. This is that healer fight, right? The fight where you need to pump healing into Kelthus, and you can see they've switched up to 4 healers now. Actually 5, right? We have every single healer spec represented here except for a Discipline Priest. But the other 5 are all coming out here. Some healer specs can do kind of insane healing to Kelthus, right?
Yeah, I mean, specifically that Resto Druid, right? Like, is Canex playing Nightfave Druid through this whole entire raid?
Currently, the leaders are listing as of Venthyr, unless that's.
Yeah, that's true. That's so. I mean, you don't really want to play Venthyr Resto Druid. That's not exactly preferred, but it's one of those things that like you can't swap characters, right? So you have to make some sacrifices.
Yeah, you can swap your covenants. You can swap your specs. You can't go up to more than a second of a given spec. Or the first of a tank or healer spec. That's one of our little rules we've got going on here. But swapping covenants takes time. Echoes seem like they are not interested in taking any time between pulling bosses, right? They're thinking, look, is the difference between getting a couple of covenant swaps going to be worth the time that it takes to actually do that? And I agree with them. I think the answer is probably no. You can see Kelthus already almost healed up out of this intermission. This is crazy. They are about to enter the second burn phase here. while Liquid also not far behind. They're also working on that, actually coming out of that first intermission soon.
It's interesting to look at the difference in healing meters right now. I know they're at different points in the fight, but just before I was watching like Nyx Druid and Impact, both of them were like breaking 40,000 healing, almost at 50,000.
Is Shiny playing Prot Paladin?
Yes. Yeah, there's 3 tanks on the side of Liquid here. Ben, Dryny, and Scott all playing tank here. Dryny was playing Ret on Hungering, now swapped over to Prot for this boss. It's worth noting that Dryny is a healer main as well. Dryny is a Holy Paladin main, but Prot Paladin can actually do some crazy healing on single target to Kelpis, so not actually necessarily that much worse than Holy Paladin for that job. Nick sending out a healer Convoke there. Big tree Convoke with Innervate and everything afterwards. Kelpis already nearly topped for Liquid, but Echo are going to get it first here out of this shield, I think.
Assuming they kill the shield? Okay.
Whew, that was close. Maybe running a little bit dry on damage. So yeah, Echo have used 1 lifeline. Liquid still haven't used theirs. I'm curious to see where they're going to add those Fated Powers to the other bosses.
They may also have to take into consideration to whoever is the second place coming, or whoever is going to be the guild coming in second place, they're going to get the additional lifeline. So I wonder if any of them are considering how they want to space those out, if they're like, if one team maybe be assuming that they're going to be coming in later, depending on the comp or depending on how confident they feel in their ability to beat the other team. I just wish I knew how much thought was put into it ahead of time, especially since they aren't going to get the same amount of lifelines.
Yakko have taken care of Sun King's salvation and are making their way over to Artificer Xy'mox now, our third boss. They are zooming through this raid. Liquid, though, hot on their heels here. And the team that's in the lead is going to be the team that has to deal with the Fated Curses as well. So that is potentially a disadvantage. It might be better to actually be just a little bit behind, right? And not have to deal with those curses. Maybe.
Do you think it's actually better to sandbag in some situations?
I don't think any of these teams would, but it might end up being better for that to be true.
Okay.
I feel like if they knew they could min-max killing it like 1 second later, then yeah, but that'd be a really hard thing to do.
I feel like if it wasn't a charity event, maybe that would be something they'd be thinking about doing more, but kind of out of the spirit of the event, so I'm sure there won't be too much of that. Shade of Kelp is going down here for Liquid. That is 2 bosses for each guild.
The first checkpoint is after Artificer Xy'mox here, though. So, I mean, look at this. The ready check has gone out. Narco is swapped back to that ret. Mirez was actually playing Windwalker on the last boss, and Narco was on Prot Paladin, but now Mirez is swapped back to tank. It's interesting to see how many just like role swaps are even happening between these teams.
Oh, it looks like did they activate their the lifeline on Xy'mox Echo?
Yes, it does indeed. They have sent lifeline number 2. So Echo are now out of those lifelines. They have decided to use them on this early boss. Just get as much power as they possibly could for Xy'mox and Hungering Destroyer. I kind of like this because these bosses, again, there's really not too much else going on. So it's a great time to get that lifeline used, get that power, get these bosses killed more quickly, because you can see they are already sub 50% here on Xy'mox in their Bloodlust, while Liquid still haven't pulled the boss.
Chris, are you not worried about like bad overlaps though of the Fated Powers whenever you're playing 4 on this boss?
Oh, I definitely would be. One of the things I was concerned about, and I guess a lot of people would be concerned about, is Creation Spark, but that was already one of the default ones on Xy'mox, so it's like, sometimes I kind of think of this in terms of if they could skip another Seeds phase, or skip the Glyph of Destruction, right? So maybe they're thinking of it in terms of that, so they would know way better than I would, though. What do you think?
I think they may be able to skip everything. Their second set of moats have been called, while they also have the Protoform barrier up, and so now they just need to do this one set of seeds, and the boss is probably dead?
Oh. Unfortunately for Echo and Gingy, both going down there to that seed explosion. B-Res coming out very quickly for Echo. Meanwhile, Liquid have got the boss pulled. Liquid have sent their Bloodlust here on pull, whereas Echo, I think, may have delayed it a little bit for later into the fight, as they're around that 60% is when you really need to start murdering the boss.
Look at this. Liquid also committed their lifeline to this boss. They additionally have 4 sets of these affixes.
Well, that does mean that they currently have one more than Echo, so I'm still curious to see what they're holding out for exactly with that other lifeline.
Okay, it looks like Echo's going to get Artificer Xy'mox down, which will unlock the first checkpoint for them.
Yeah, Echo have gotten the first checkpoint first. That is some extra money to their charity of choice, Direct Relief. And it means that we are going to have an Echo player calling in and answering some questions to determine how bad the fated curse that they'll have to deal with in the next portion of the dungeon is.
What's their first fated curse?
We will be revealing that momentarily as well.
Oh, goodness. Oh,
hello, Miras.
Hello.
Hello, congratulations. All right, we will get you right into your questions to keep you moving. Oh my goodness, it looks like Liquid are wiping over on Xy'mox, so you may have a little bit of time
don't tell him that.
for your quiz.
Don't leak. Don't leak.
All right, here's our question for you. Which guild was first to defeat Mythic Hungering Destroyer? Was it A, Lazarus Imperative, B, BDGG, C, Blood Legion, or D, Complexity Limit?
I think it was B, BDG.
And the answer is A, Lazarus Imperative. All right, that's one question wrong. Ooh, that curse becomes more powerful. Here comes question 2.
All right, question 2. Which of the following mobs is an ad in the Sun King Salvation encounter? Is it A, the Bleakwing Vanquisher, B, the Minister of Souls, C, the Vice Infuser, or D, the Pestering Fiend?
I have a guess. It's
the
Pestering Fiend. Pestering Fiend.
Is it D, Pestering Fiend?
Yes! Congratulations! All right, and here comes question number 3.
So for question number 3, what is the name of the only trinket that drops from Artificer Xy'mox? Dimensional Terror Fragment, Seed of Extinction, Glyph of Assimilation, or Memory of Past Sins?
It's C, Glyph of Assimilation.
Yes, indeed it is. All right, so that is 2 out of 3 questions correct. Congratulations. That means the fated curse for you is going to be... Do we have the picture and the name for it? Let's see. If not, I can go find it. All right, it looks like it is going to be Tunnel Vision. Players need to zoom the camera to first-person view. Nope.
Oh.
Okay, it's not that one. Which one is it?
Okay,
it's the eye level one? All right, so you guys are going to lose 4 item levels on a boss of your choice in the next checkpoint. So you'll have to choose. Let the admins know which one you want that to be. That is going to be what you'll have to deal with. Good luck with that, and good luck with the rest of the race.
Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Maybe you'll see someone else later.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Bye.
We'll see. Goodbye.
Right, bye.
Okay, so for those at home, how that kind of works is there's like a scaling aura across the whole entire raid, and so our admins are just going to lower that scaling aura and bump them down from 280 to 276.
A 276 item level is what Echo are going to have to deal with on one boss of their choice here in this next checkpoint as we make our way into the second third of the day. Do a little caster swap as well. Lady Enerva Darkvein is up next for Echo. We'll get to check in and see where Liquid are at as well. We're welcoming on Nagura, Xyronic, and Makes, though, for this next segment.
Hello.
Hello.
Ooh.
So
That was a quick first checkpoint.
Yeah, that was very fast. If I'm not mistaken, I think Liquid is also getting 1 additional lifeline now, right? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have 2 more lifelines, while Echo has none.
Correct. So, Echo killed the boss first, but not only did they have to do the whole, questionnaire thing that we just put them through. Of course, they can't pull a boss while they're sitting there answering our quiz questions. They now have, like Dreno said earlier, one of these next 3 bosses, they're going to have to use that cursed affix on, which means their entire raid item level is going to go down by 4. I mean, good thing you got 2 of them right, because I think it gets pretty progressively worse if you miss more of them, right? So,
Yeah.
at least you got 2 of them right. But yeah, no, Liquid definitely have room to catch up here, because look, they're killing trash at the same time now.
I'm really surprised you need a question about the add-on Sun Salvation, because I've never heard that name before. Strange.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. What did it do?
That's what you had on.
Oh, is it like
They literally
all
just like
small ads
threw
that
things
are-
at you, right?
The very tiny
I
small
see.
animals, yeah.
The really impressive
It's where
thing
you press
is-
Starfall, you know?
Exactly. I'm surprised he knew that, because like they killed the boss so fast I don't think they even saw any of them. So like they didn't have the pool of information there. They're like, oh yeah, I just saw that ad. And there are infusers and vanquishers on that fight too. They just have different names than the ones that we had there. So that was a tricky question, but he got it right. They're going to be pulling out Darkbane at pretty much the same time now because of that delay though. Huh.
Yeah, and the affixes we have on Lady Nerva is going to be the Emitter and the Chaotic Essence. So we're probably going to see a lot of damage coming out of some of the players again because of the Chaotic Essence AoE. You see, the Emitter also already spawned for Echo pretty far away, so I assume they're going to be gripping it in. They have 2 DKs to do that, and Bloodlust is being used as soon as the essences are spawning here. You can see those motes flying around and being nuked by mostly the Fury Warrior, it looks like. The Survival Hunter.
We're just getting word that they did use the item level drop that they just got from that curse on this boss. So maybe this is where Liquid will catch up, even though they are pulling a little bit after them. They still haven't used their lifeline, so still only 2 fated affixes from what we can tell on the right side for Liquid, but maybe they can catch up.
It's weird, they should have used it here because they have 2 lifelines still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
Are
should
they
use
just
it
going
here,
to
in my
send
opinion.
them on the
Are they just
harder
going to
bosses?
Giga Chat and not use them at all? That would be the insane play.
Maybe.
It would be insane, but I think the connotation of that insanity would be different. We'll see how that goes, but for now, Liquid is catching up. So Echo is at 40% and Liquid now at 50%, even though they pulled like 30% after them.
That makes sense. The item level difference definitely counts. And I mean, we haven't really talked too much about the raid comp differences here either. We did talk a little bit about it earlier on, right? They can't swap characters, but they can swap specs. And I think they can swap covenants too, right? So they can change their own character, but they can't swap characters or swap people in and out of the raid. These 20 that are in the raid are going to be the 20 that are in for the rest of the day. So, do you think either of these comps like really has an advantage on the bosses remaining in the raid? I think it's hard to say.
I think there's way too many druids on Liquid's side, honestly.
Yeah, it's a
Outside
bit
of that,
strange.
Also, I'm not sure if the raid frames are displayed differently for the broadcast, or if the Windwalkers are actually in like groups with masters in them. It's probably just our view,
that's true.
right? Because there's definitely people in the Wind Walker in the Enhancement Shaman
Wind
group,
Fury, yeah.
Wind Fury group, that are casters,
definitely
which will be
right.
weird.
Yeah, but that's a case for both sides, so I think that might just be an overlay thing from our end.
Probably, yeah.
Unless
Yeah, that makes sense. No, there's no
they're
way. There's
doing
no way
it
that
for
they're...
funsies.
No, this is for money. This is for charity.
So true. They should be tryharding.
Throwing for charity.
So what do you think about Scaris out DPSing Narcoles all the time?
Sheesh.
Wait, what?
2 red
What was that
paladins on Echo's
toxicity?
side.
Anyway,
Just
Echo
saying.
already killed Darkbane. Liquid now also on their way, but it feels like they caught up a little bit, right? Echo is making
Yeah.
their way.
Oh, we have an angel. Take a
to the
screenshot. He
council.
canceled it.
Ooh. Oh wow, they're
Some
looks like they're
deaths.
dying to
Man.
the council trash.
I mean, it's
So the way
hard
it
trash.
works, it is very hard trash, yeah. The way it works is that they can skip a lot of the trash. They have teleporters, right? But some of the trash needs to be killed to activate the boss fight. For example, here in Council and also on Minerva. So they have to get through that. But it looks like neither of the guilds are committing cooldowns to it, because you could technically commit cooldowns for trash and then reset the boss and wait for it to respawn. But it looks like neither of the guilds are actually doing that. They just kill the trash without cooldowns and then immediately go into the boss.
Dude, both priests died on this trash pack. What's going on?
They're priests.
Look at Scott
We've
damage.
been over this. They're like marshmallows. Very, very squishy. Same color.
Man, that Guardian Druid damage is kind of insane. I like it a lot. That means Scott did commit the cooldowns on the trash, which makes a lot of sense, I
Makes
think.
sense. Because you really only do single target damage on this fight, right? But Echo's already pulled the boss. I feel like Liquid pretty much have to use one of their lifelines on this boss, right? Like, it wouldn't make sense not to, because you have 2 of them left. If you were to lose this checkpoint too, you do gain an extra lifeline, but there's only 2 bosses left, so 3 lifelines, 2 bosses, doesn't really make sense.
It's just, they only have two lifelines left, right? But the thing is, I
if they
don't
were to
think I
also
would
lose
use
the
it on
checkpoint.
Council, because Council is probably the most cursed boss.
I mean, they
to have
probably
lifelines on.
have to.
Maybe they just use it
They
on
don't have to,
Sludgefist.
right? They can use it on Sludge, and then on Stone
Yeah.
Legion.
That's true. Sludgefist is probably...
You
Yeah,
think
this boss is a
Stone
bit
Legion
weird.
is better than Council to use on?
I think so, because of the dance phase. Like in the dance phase, you can't soak the petals, like the circles, without messing it up. And also the interrupt is sometimes really annoying because people are out of range for the interrupt. So only the
But you
close
can
by people can interrupt.
time the soak. So, I mean,
You
just
can,
don't
but then it will run out
dispel when
at
you're
some point.
dancing.
It's a bit weird, at least, on this boss. Because I've played
Creation
this boss
Spark-
on live service with some like affixes,
They
and
have
that always just
used
felt like it's
lifelines
Yeah,
here.
they did use it.
So
Oh,
you
they
can
did.
see
Okay.
the fated affixes coming in here. They have used their lifeline. And you can see everybody soaking that circle before they run off into the dance with that speed totem being placed there.
Man, I wish that we could like get a listen in to the Liquid POV here, because one of my favorite parts of doing this fight on farm was I'm Fired Up would always try to call which direction to go for the dance. And usually he'd get it wrong, but there was one time where he called
Where he
it
got it
all
right?
6 of the dances correctly in a row. What's that, like a 1 in 256 or something chance? No, it's like 100. Still cool though. No, it's higher than that.
I'm sure he
I'm
still
not doing
thinks
math
of this high moment every time he does
4 to
council.
the 6.
I mean, I know I would. That's very impressive.
It looks like they had the barrier up during the dance and they just left it there, which is smart. Then when the bosses came back, it dealt damage to all bosses, which is of course not ideal, right? The barrier at least. All the other damage they can use pretty effectively, like all the other affixes. Barrier maybe not so much, but... They're definitely
We have
catching up a bit.
Mathnos confirming the numbers for Xyro here. Such a classic
Technically, it's
thing.
not like, 4 to the 6 because you can't just go up 6 times in a row, but let's just say it's that. Let's just say it's a 1 in 4,100 or so chance, because that makes it fun.
Yeah. Did we talk about the difference in healers yet? Because Echo is seeming to play with 3 healers for this boss, whereas Liquid is on 2, right? Or am I mislooking?
That looks correct based on the healing meters, so yeah.
Yeah?
Interesting. Well, Liquid's definitely catching up. They've actually already passed Echo
Ooh.
with damage done here, so
1 death?
that lifeline coming into play for sure.
Yeah.
Did have a death? Yeah, they have no battle res, so Liquid may kind of have to play a little safe here.
Everyone, take your position. It is
Yeah, so the...
Stavros going down to 50 for both of these teams here, but it seems like Echo has taken the lead again.
I think it was just like a waiter coming in that threw us off for a bit there, because Echo got the waiter, their health stopped, Liquid passed them up, but then Liquid got the waiter because they're a little behind.
The
They pulled the
attendant,
boss a
right?
little later. The attendant, yeah, the one that makes the boss taking 0
The
damage.
waiter. I mean, he does look like one.
They're
There are
all
waiters as well, they're just the
There are
small
waiters.
ones.
Those are the ones
Yeah.
that use Starfall.
Exactly.
There were a lot of things in this raid that Druid Starfall weren't there, now that I think about it.
Isn't that the
Yeah.
case in every raid? I mean,
of them.
even on like Sanctum, you would do like shard control, right?
That is true.
But yeah, Stavros again dropping lower and lower for Echo. They don't have any more lifelines, and Liquid is using one of theirs right now. The way it works, that the team that gets to those checkpoints first, they're gonna get more money for their charity, which is obviously the play to make. But they're also gonna get a curse that they have to use for one of these bosses, and then the second team gets another lifeline. So we try to even it out every checkpoint, but we'll see if that works. Liquid now in the lead again as they finished off Stavros and are dealing with Niklaus.
Yeah, I think those extra affixes really coming in clutch there at the very end. You can see both of the teams also saved Bloodlust for this very last member here of the council. And yeah, having the extra damage for Liquid really helping them as they're about to reach the 50% already. They do have the Stone Guard up, they can just cleave it down during the dance as well. And you can see Birch just completely ramping out of control, saving cooldowns for that Bloodlust at the very end. I think Birch was like 7th or 8th on the damage meter, and now all of a sudden he's first by far. So yeah, really well done with the cooldown management there as well.
The Druid life.
The Druid life.
It's gonna be really close. Both teams now in the dance here. Liquid nearly finished. That was the last little dancey step they had to take. And now it's burning Niklaus down. Whereas Echo will follow up with that, but is still stuck in that dance.
Oh yeah, looks like Liquid's going to be pulling in the lead here. And you know what? Honestly, like, I'm game for this. I kind of want Liquid to win this checkpoint. Not because I'm, like, biased or anything, but, like... I've heard that the people answering questions for Liquid are going to be one of THD, Fired Up, and St. Helios, and all of them are going to be very interesting to listen to. So, kind of want to bring one of those on here.
Yeah, we saw a clip where the Liquid Raiders were discussing that they wanted to send "I'm Fired Up" where it's the least impactful. Which sounded very mean. So hopefully we're gonna see him have his great moment here and just ace all of these questions. I would really love that. Yeah, Liquid kills first.
Yeah, we're gonna be on Sludgefist now, which is the last boss before the second checkpoint. So if Liquid kills this boss first, they're gonna be the ones that have to answer the questions. Depending on how many they get wrong or correct, they're gonna have more curses that are gonna be applied to either Stone Legion or Sire denathrius, depending what they choose. And Echo would, of course, get an extra lifeline, but they would also get less money for their charity direct relief. So yeah, Liquid looking really good as they're waiting for Sludgefist to spawn.
I see people in the chat. I see people in the chat are confused looking at the damage meters here. Why is Echo only doing 6k and why is Liquid doing 30 or 40k? So we had this problem last weekend, and with the TGP, it's really hard for our admins to get the whole metric versus imperial conversion. But that's kind of what's going on.
Stop lying, Zyro. People are going to run with this. Don't say that. The reason that it's happening is because Liquid had used their lifeline, and they forgot chaotic modes in which you can do exceptionally great pad damage and just have really high damage numbers. We're gonna see them use the lifeline here once again, all lifelines activated on Sludgefist in that Liquid POV here.
Ooh, St. Helios playing Feral, look at that.
Ooh.
I guess he's been
it's because they can't have two.
They
can't have more than two, right? You can't have more than two.
Yeah, they have to have one Feral.
Interesting. Okay.
Love that. Of
And
course,
if they were to
cooldowns
drop
here.
a healer, they could have two Ferals.
That is true.
So yeah, they can have only one stack of tanks and healers, but two of any DPS. So if Nick goes to DPS instead of healing, then they could have two Ferals and two. Ooh, what is that damage? Look, 3 people dropped that in that Bloodlust on Sludgefist. That is not what you want to have happening here.
2 of their Moonkins as well. Oh no, Moonkins usually doing a lot of damage on that first pillar with their Venthyr ramp, of course. So missing out on that damage is not great. I guess the Feral Druid and Unholy DK have to make up for it.
Hopefully, yeah. If I saw that correctly, we even had Aura Mastery up for that charge. So really, that 280 item level Squish coming in hot here, doing some work. Let's see how it goes for Echo, though.
You also saw Echo drop really low on that first pillar. It really is that that low item level, right? Like they just, I think it dropped them to like 10-20% HP for most players. So yeah, definitely have to commit maybe some more defensives for that. Because on live servers right now, that smash doesn't really do as much damage anymore as it did when we first killed the boss back in Castle. Oh my god!
Okay, that's a go again.
Actually wiping!
Oh
Yeah,
no,
we're gonna have
Liquid!
to commit more cooldowns for this. Oh no.
Was it really
looking
only
better.
the charge? Or
Yeah,
did they
it really
get
was the
like some
charge.
affix that came through right before it? They were
I think it was
so low.
the charge, and people were just not topped before it happened, for whatever reason. Also only playing 3 healers here, it looks like, for Echo. They're gonna have to top the players because the charge is incoming. Let's see if they can survive.
Oof.
Okay, everyone's alive.
Looking good. Soak's coming in. Make sure you get these. And you, of course, need to stay close to your friends here. So you can't drop and break these chains. But so far, Echo is doing a really good job here. Some seeds have proc Wolf Disco not having that cheat death available anymore. But they will have one more pillar charge soonish. And I don't think they even get to the 4th one. I think they'll just have 3.
I think they do get to the 4th one. The boss is only in 40%, right? And they already have used less than the first one.
Yeah,
So
with
I actually
live
think they get
gear.
a 4th one.
Yeah, with live gear, like 300 item level, you can kill it after the 3rd pillar. But at 280 item level, nah, no way. I think they have to go to the 4th pillar here.
Yeah, we'll see. As they also, let's look at the defensives. You can see in the top right corner, you can see all of the defensives that are still available, the group-wide ones. You see some Aura Masters being available still. Or
Spirit
one, I
Link,
guess.
notably.
Well, let's
Coming
take a
in
look.
now, making
Fine.
sure they survive that charge. Everybody's looking very healthy as they do all of the damage into the boss here now. Gotta make sure you get those soaks. Not very easy with the chains that you have onto another person, but Liquid doing a phenomenal job here. Everybody is surviving this. Now they need to spread out once more. Boss is down to 20-ish% as it ramps up his rage bar, I guess, one more time.
They'll need to do a 4th pillar very, very clearly here, but it should die in the 4th pillar yet. 20% on the boss should be plenty. This is the most
We'll
dangerous
see.
part of the fight, though. Back in progression, this is when you wanted to save the lust for, because remember, Sludgefist's like main mechanic outside of like the charge and the chains is he does more
Ooh,
damage
clicks!
every single time he charges into a pillar. So they have 3 stacks of that pulsing raid damage here. As long as they can live through this charge, though, the boss will definitely go down.
Clicks and Salt going down. Clicks had used that pot once before, is using Ank here to come back, and they're gonna get that Battle Rush onto the Demon Hunter to get everybody up here. Looks like they've survived that slam into the pillar, but now they need to burn the boss, and it's dropping lower and lower. And that is looking really good. Liquid with their vibe, of course, they can't catch up here, so Echo is going to be taking down this boss first.
All
Yeah,
right.
so that means that they're gonna have to answer the questions again, and they
Yeah.
also win another 10,000 for their charity Direct Relief as well. We'll see if Liquid can also finish off Sludgefist here on their 2nd attempt.
We're gonna watch Liquid kill Sludgefist first, I would think.
Yep, while we wait for our friend from Echo to join in on our call here. With those 4 affixes, this boss actually could die on the 3rd pillar here, right? They've only gotten 2 down, it looks like, and the boss is already at 23%, so
Yeah,
should
sure.
be pretty easy for them. A little unfortunate that we don't get to see Fired Up come in here and answer some questions, but what can you do? Wipes happen.
I mean, if they send in, I'm fired up, right?
I would be very
They could
upset if
send-
they didn't send him in.
Audra going down.
Podrak going down. Gonna be able to res them back up. And one more time, they have to survive these soaks here as they are spreading out. Lots of damage coming onto the group, and the shield is on the boss as well. It is going to charge. You can see Scott and Ben pre-positioning into that pillar. I really missed this boss fight progression. It was so fun as they do their last boss burn.
There it is. Okay, boss is going down for Liquid here. All right.
Look at the Atlas damage on that Unholy DK. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of crazy. Like, it's hard to do the conversions here because I think the top DPS for Echo is like 14k. Let me think.
Stop it! It's not the metric system.
That's
it's
about
chaotic
the same.
modes.
No, it's
Sire,
about the
you're
same.
terrible.
35k to 14k.
Stop it.
All right. Cool.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, Jason,
So
yeah,
Roger.
we're gonna have
cheat death.
Gonna have a quiz time for Echo now. I think Roger's already here. We can see him at least. The stream can not yet see him, so we're gonna wait a little second. But the way it works, he has to answer 3 questions, and the more he gets right, the less severe the curse Echo is going to suffer under will be.
All right.
Okay.
There we go.
Here's a question.
Can we hear Roger?
Let's say
Roger?
hello, Roger.
Hello,
There we
hello.
go.
Yeah, there
Hello,
we
Roger.
go.
Okay.
All right. First question. How many Sins of the Past orbs does Lady Enerva spawn each time in Mythic difficulty? Is it 2, 3, 4, or 5?
This is a very easy question. It's of course C4. Final answer.
All right. 4 is correct. Good job, Roger.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, we'll ramp up the difficulty here. Let's get the second question on screen.
Yeah, give me something harder. Come on.
Oh, you
Alright, which
wish
of
you would
these
have not said
spells-
that.
Yeah, you wish. Which of these spells is not part of the Council of Blood encounter? Is it A, Violent Uproar, B, Dance Macabre, C, Evasive Riposte, or D, Dark Recital?
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just gonna go for it. A, Violent Uproar. Final answer. No!
Oh, that's one wrong answer.
Wait,
Oh,
what is
the
it called?
curse gets
What is it
worse.
called? There is
It's Evasive
Violent Uproar.
Riposte.
I think that's the one that does pulsing AoE damage to the group, and then you put puddles on the ground when you take damage. The one
What
that
is the
nobody does
Riposte
on
called
Mythic.
again? Riposte has a different first name, right?
Yeah,
I forgot
exactly.
the I.
Different first
Yeah.
name.
Oh my. Okay.
All right.
Okay, are you ready for the last question, Roger?
I guess I am.
There we
I
go.
guess I am. Oh, there.
Bringing out the glasses here, making sure nobody knows who's actually answering these questions. Gotta stay anonymous, right? Last question, Roger. How many attempts did Complexity Limit take to defeat Sludgefist? And now they're making me say numbers, which is going to go great. 167, 172, 178, or 181. All of these are very close. You wanted a tough question. There is one.
Yeah, this is, obviously I remember. It's got to be C, 178, I think, 100%.
Ooh, let's see what the answer is here.
No.
Oh no.
It's going to be 167. That means your curse is going to be quite severe with only one of the 3 questions correct here. That
It's
means
going to kill me.
You ready for your
that
curse, Roger?
means you're going to get tunnel visioned, Roger. 6 of your players will have to play in first-person perspective.
Oh, no.
That's no problem. No problem, because it's not going to be me, so it's all good.
quick
Wait,
tip.
who is
if
it
you
going to
wanna
make
know-
to be?
Wait, who? Yeah, who is it going to be?
Yeah.
Who do you
I think we said it's going to be Xerwo, Velo, Lorgoth, and Tobo.
2
So
more.
you need to do 2 more because you got to do 6.
Oh, 2 more. Yeah, let's throw in Frago and Narco then. How about that?
Perfect.
Well, we got to let you go because Liquid's already pulling Stone Legion generals, but gonna love to see you guys have to play in first person.
I gotta go.
Get in there. Got to
luck,
catch
Roger.
up.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
No, Liquid's wiping.
I think they have to because they didn't
They
wait,
got to reset.
right?
Yeah.
We
I
made
see.
them. We made them wipe. It was purposefully.
They don't
okay,
have
they-
to wait,
they-
right?
They weren't. Yeah,
They
so
don't?
they didn't have to wait. They
Wait, they
wiped,
don't?
Not on purpose. They also
Oh.
used a lifeline on this boss. It looks like the only one that they still have left. So that means I think SLG is actually going to be very difficult for them with all of those affixes, right?
Yeah, that Fated Lifeline is a very high reward, but also very high risk on a fight like Stone Legion Generals. So Liquid are refeasting up, getting ready to pull again. Echo nearly done clearing trash, and they are going to be playing with 6 players in first-person mode on either this boss or Sire Denathrius. Which of those is less bad to do that on?
I think it's probably Sire, but not by much. I just love that Roger goes, my guild is gonna kill me. Whenever he realized that he missed 2 questions, it's like, oh no.
Would be one of the harder ones to do it on as well. The first thing I was thinking is, like, who do you really not want to zoom in? And I feel like people that have to place ground things, like a Master Spell or a Spirit Link, no healer bias, I swear, but I was just trying to think, like, who would be best, like, people that have to place things on the ground or have to do a lot of positioning, but outside of that, I'm not really sure. What do you think if a tank had to zoom in all the way? Because they don't really have to do anything usually.
Not on Sire. You can't have your tank zoomed in on Sire. You could, I guess in theory, have your tank zoomed in on this fight?
Oh, sorry. I was thinking in terms of Stone Legion, by the way, but...
Yeah, if you do it on Stone Legion, I do think SLG... I mean, the tank job is a little bit complicated, but you can't get targeted by the upheaval if you're a tank, so that would be a good reason, I think, to... Because, like, if you're trying to do the swirlies, the upheaval, running and dodging while you've got the first-person camera on, I feel like that's almost impossible, so I would definitely want to put it on my tanks if I could.
Okay,
Looks
so
like they've chosen Zerwo, Velo, Tobo, Lorgok, Frago, and Narco, though. They are going with a full DPS first-person comp.
So, hypothetically, which is harder? 4 affixes, the full lifeline on this boss, or having to play with 6 people in first-person mode on this fight?
I think the first person. I feel like 6 people in first person is going to be really hard. We'll have to watch on Echo's side to see if it can become clear when anything first person related is happening.
A commander went off.
Yeah, his shield was not damaged through on one of those Stone Legion commandos.
Oh, they had the Protophore barrier up so they couldn't break the shield.
Oh no! Somehow they haven't wiped to that though. Incredible. Good use of defensives at the time. I think identifying that was about to happen to them. Wow, that lifeline with all 4 of the Fated powers active, so scary here on Stone Legion Generals for Liquid, but they have come out of that first intermission. Echo working on that intermission. Nearly done charging up Prince Renathal.
Just taking a look at the Fated affixes that they can add, because sometimes if you can add one, usually if Creation Spark is already there, it's like, whatever, just send it. But I was just pulling up, and unfortunately, Creation Spark is one of the default ones on Stone Legion here as well. So...
Yeah, both guilds having to deal with it. Creation Spark...
I know it's... Oh, sorry, I was going to say, I know it's definitely a bit different in, like, the current rate of how much gear we have. It feels like you can kind of ignore a lot of things. What happened?
Oh no, Liquid, they had that Creation Spark that you were just talking about. The Dispel came out right during that upheaval, so a player ended up going down trying to get the soak and stop a wipe.
This is Zerwo's POV. Look at this, we're zoomed
okay, here we go.
all the way in. He's playing that Demonology Warlock. I can't see where... Okay.
All right, so this is phase 2 starting for Echo. This is the scariest part because of that seismic upheaval, the brown swirlies that might target players. Really tough to dodge out of first-person mode. Ooh, Manatide Totem, very annoyingly placed by Zatsi here, all the way in his field of view.
Tratnos, did you know that whenever you get Power Infusion on yourself, if you are in first-person mode, the glowing effect from Power Infusion shows up fully encompassing your screen?
Oh no! Looks like Tobo's even gone down here, another of the first-person gamers for Echo. They send the Battle Res, but is Tobo going to accept it? Yes, he is.
Bro, I can't see anything. I just see imps! I just see imps!
Honestly, I can't imagine this would be too difficult, because in Wrath, I think a lot of us practice playing zoomed in, looking at the floor, so we could actually play the game on our awful computers. So I think some of these guys probably have some practice with that from over 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what we're saying here.
Narco, a renowned Lich King Classic player, is one of their first-personers as well, but is going to jump off here. That's going to be a wipe for Echo. As 4 players dead, they decide to just not continue it. This is, even here on Fated, this is a really hard fight, Stone Legion Generals, so not surprised to see them make that call. Liquid are also in some trouble, though. Nearly done with the second intermission, but they have 2 players dead, and a shield goes uninterrupted, so Liquid will be wiping as well.
Did they not click the shield? Oh no. That is so unfortunate. I mean, it's why playing all 4 of those Fated affixes on the bosses is so dangerous, because
I think that may have been a commando shield.
Moats, if
was
you
that a
didn't
moat?
I think that they can live a commando shield going off, right? Like, at least the tank is going to live if the commando shield goes off. It had to be either reconfig emitter exploding, or I think it had to be like the moat thing not getting clicked.
Yeah, you think about these Fated affixes, and dealing with one of them at a time, unless it's that dispel, the energy, I feel like they're not too bad. But if you have all 4 of them at the same time, it's like that is a lot to remember, especially during a hectic intermission with a lot else going on. So both teams here taking a moment to strategize a little bit before getting their next pull started. Echo going in once again. If this looks exciting to you, if this looks appealing to you, fighting with two Fated powers like Echo are doing right now, it's worth noting this is going to be available on the live servers starting next week as well. Looks like probably Echo will be jumping off here momentarily with these deaths early. Yep, this is a jump off for sure. So
I have a question. How much harder is 2 affixes on this boss, just in general?
I think the soaks is the hard part. I don't think the others, I don't know. I feel like as long as you're not adding the soaks, if you're just dealing with 2 of the others, or if you already have soaks and you're adding another one, I think I would choose to do it on this boss.
Would you play 2 affixes throughout most of this raid? Krista?
Sorry about that. I really think it depends on the affix. Like, if I'm playing, obviously I'm playing at a much higher eye level because I'm not a god gamer getting my gear scale down, but it really depends. Like, if it's something like Protoform Barrier where it feels like you can just kind of ignore it the whole time, yeah, sure, I'd throw that one in there. But if there's like a Creation Spark on like Sire, I know felt kind of hard, probably not.
Yeah, again, worth noting, they are scaled down to 280 item level, so maybe 20 item levels lower than we're at on live right now. And also Echo are playing with 6 people zoomed into first person. Pretty scary combination of things going on here. Both guilds have started up another pull. Liquid are in that first intermission. Look at how many ads there are. You've got all of the boss ads, and you've got a chaotic essence going off, and a reconfiguration emitter there as underboss. This is crazy.
Bro, and then in the left side of the screen we have Echo. 4 players in first person mode. I can't tell what's going on. Something's happening, surely.
Look at the imps!
Imps covering my screen again.
Wait, one thing that I'm actually wondering is, if you're a gnome, do you get like a lower point of view, or is it just like centered?
So they're dwarves, but yes, they get a lower POV.
Oh no, that makes it so much worse.
Oh yeah, you need to have like a standing tall orc. One of the orcs with the standing tall thing toggled that they added a couple expansions ago. Yeah, or Zandalari. Have those be your first person players. These are the things they should have thought about before starting this raid. Is this Narco's perspective? I think it might have been. Now we're over to a warrior.
Dude, I love how we're getting both guilds are walled on this boss, but for very different reasons. One of them is, it's impossible to play 6 people in first-person POV. The other one is, for some reason, we've used our lifeline on this boss.
Yeah, the 4 Fated powers, it feels good when you've got them all multiplying together, increasing your damage. Feels a lot less good when they are wiping your raid, because the Stone Legion General's intermission just has so much else going on during it.
Well, Liquid was very close to killing the boss a little bit ago whenever they wiped to the moat going off.
Well, I doubt we would see this happen, but do you know if they could like retroactively decide, you know what, we actually want to turn off the lifeline and just not use it? Or is it just kind of like once you choose, your fate is sealed?
Okay, apparently they can. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
So Liquid hasn't decided to do that yet. No cowards over in that guild. They are going to keep the full difficulty on for the chance of a little bit of extra damage.
Content.
Yeah, for a little bit of content as well. And both guilds are holding their bloodlust here. Liquid have started the second phase, and they're not using the bloodlust here either. I'm curious to see when Echo are planning to use it, because on a fight like this, I feel like you do want to save it for either the second phase, or maybe the second intermission, or maybe you just use it to nuke the last phase of the boss, but that phase can kind of paradoxically be the easiest part of the whole fight.
If it's not 4 Faded Affixes, I would definitely agree.
Well, but there's 4 Faded Affixes during the rest of it as well.
I mean, do you really want to be doing 8 soaks while you have 4 affixes out? I guess maybe it's doable.
Yeah, that's a good point. See how they decide to play it. You can kind of see they're very haphazardly running around in the seismic upheaval here. Yeah, Lorgok is first-person mode. We were watching him, but he's actually playing in first person, yeah.
He clearly does not know where to go. He's just like running in circles.
Honestly, if I had to play a first-person POV, I would be doing the exact same thing. I would just displace her out where I don't think anyone is and just, you know, they should know better.
Get away from me. I'm in first person. All right, so first intermission again for Liquid over on the right, whereas Echo they're into the second intermission. They still have their bloodlust as well. Narco's gone down. They have no battle res, but Narco was a first-person player anyway, so one of their less valuable raiders on this poll.
How much of a DPS would you say is, like 0.8?
Yeah, something. Okay, I mean, in first person, ooh, Fellow going down as well here. I wonder if you just press your lust here to stabilize if you're Echo, because you're nearly through the fight. It's almost over, but things are starting to rot out here. Swag going down as well. This is starting to get very, very tense. They will have another battle res in 20 seconds at least.
Well, just looking at the damage breakdown, I had to quick remind myself of who the first-person players are. Zero is one of the players, and you can still just see him cranking out a lot of the damage. It actually doesn't seem like it's affecting him as much as I think you think that it would.
Yeah,
But
Tobo up at the top of the meters as well. Not that far behind Soul, and also playing in first person.
Well, MM Hunter, notoriously easy to play.
Dude, you gotta place your wild spirits.
Very true, actually.
I don't know, man. MM Hunter is really easy.
Oh, the stone shell nearly goes off for Echo, but they are able to break through it. You can see they have some of those commandos over on... Actually, a really nice thing that Echo have here is a Brewmaster. That's letting those commandos get off-tanked over on that statue, whereas Liquid don't have one of those, so the commandos are having to come in during the intermission, even the ones that they're not planning to kill, which is some of them. Some of them you don't want to cleave at all.
They're back at it. Are they back out of the intermission now? Oh, yeah. They're actually able to burn the boss. They only have 17 players alive, but I think that they could get the boss killed off. They have their lust here in a second as well.
Oh, so much danger.
That was not.
Okay, so maybe the plan is you wait for the next chaotic motes and then you hit the lust. Let's see what Echo want to do with this. Yeah, I mean the boss is getting pretty close to dead. At some point soon, if you just hit lust, you can just kill the boss. There's another soak, and they're going to hit the lust coming out of this soak, knowing there's not much to do for a little while. A few dispels are coming out, and the winds are blowing them back as well, though, during this. Here comes the upheaval.
Okay, I'm just going to yellow the upheaval. Don't die. No deaths.
Wow.
Okay. It looks like Echo are doing quite well on the right side of the screen as well. Liquid, I think they're coming out of their intermission here in just a couple of seconds with all 4 of those Faded Affixes effective on the boss. I think that we're going to see both of the teams killing the boss around the same time.
Well, we're not going to see much of anything here on the left-hand side.
They picked a warrior. How's he supposed to... Really? I can't see anything, man. I just see pets. All of the pets are in my face.
Wow. I can't believe that Echo have gotten through this looking as clean as they have. The boss is nearly dead as long as they can soak the next upheaval, or do the next upheaval without everybody getting murdered.
Yeah, the upheaval is looking worse and worse every pass they have going, but this is kind of what it looked like on a prog kill as well, so this is pretty similar.
Oh, eruption. Everybody needs to get these soaks as well. Couple of deaths, but that's okay. The boss is nearly dead here for Echo. That is going to be them on. You can see Zerwo trying to get into all these soaks of everything while being completely in first person. That is a dead boss, though, for Echo. Liquid nearly out of the second intermission. It looks like also will be on Sire soon, but Echo have earned the right to pull the last boss of the raid here. This is I think one of the coolest boss fights of all time, Sire denathrius.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Sire is really, really cool. But I think one of the negative takeaways from this is now if I ever do something dumb on Stone Legion with the first person people, I have no excuse. Now, you know?
Yeah. It's gonna have to be, I was in first person. I saw Echo do this. I don't know why they did it, but I saw them doing it. It must be right.
What would your guild say if you actually tried to do any of the bosses in first-person mode?
Oh no! Liquid have had another wipe here coming out of the second intermission. No. That is tragic for Liquid, and that's going to give Echo a full pull on Sire denathrius without Liquid doing much of anything. Echo have gotten that first-person curse out of the way, so they don't have to do that at all. They just have to kill the boss with the 2 Fated Powers, admittedly, and with 280 item level. It's pretty low item level. Most guilds that have killed Fated Sire denathrius have been substantially higher than 280 item levels, so it's going to be pretty tricky.
I wonder if this is going to mean that Echo's going to like full sweep to the day. Do you think that Sire denathrius is one-shottable with 2 Fated affixes?
I personally think it is. I think the worst thing they can ever run into is having one of the curses, but I don't think that they're going to be having any of that on here, and nobody can use lifelines on the last boss as well, so I feel like they'll actually just one-shot this. I think Sire will feel easier than, dare I say, I think it'll feel a little easier than Stone Legion.
Oh, and Sire is spawning here in just a moment, and it looks like Echo is feasting up, and they're going to get ready to pull the boss here.
Yeah, Sire does love a bit of a monologue. One of his favorite pastimes. Talking about, Remornia cutting them up, slicing them into ribbons and stuff.
Yeah, I think he's telling her, like, chill out at first until he's like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember.
It looks like he's become targetable.
He has indeed. Oh, Echo, they had a trash mob in there as well. Oh, no, okay, no, those are just the ones outside that are getting fought by Renathal that we were seeing the nameplate of.
The Nathrian, yeah, those are the people that are, like, standing right outside that gate.
Okay, here we go. Sire denathrius pulled by Echo. It's a reset, so they were just pulling there to get all their cooldowns back. Yeah,
it's for the gates too. It's because they want to set up a Warlock gateway. Yeah, look at this. So Wolf Disco wanted to set it up because of how they're going to be moving across the room, and so that's like where Sire denathrius spawns. So you want to pre-place that gate.
Yeah, Echo notably they head around this room clockwise, but Liquid head around the Sire room counterclockwise in P1. So that's just another interesting tidbit that we'll get to see here. All right, Soulstones are coming out in the ready check here as well for Echo as they're getting ready to pull. It sounds like something weird is going on Liquid's side of things. The Protoform barrier may be killing Renathal and making it so that the intermission is working out pretty tough here.
Like Renathal and Draven, the bats that fly around. Oh, Renathal's the guy that you drop pause.
Yeah, Renathal's the prince that you have to drop off to. So the Protoform barrier there potentially causing an issue. Looks like they are turning off that Fated Power for this pull of Stone Legion Generals. Echo, on the other hand, are going to do a pull with no UI at all. Every single player here is turning off their UI for the Sire denathrius attempt here while Liquid catch up on Stone Legion Generals.
As I read, it's, quote, just for the memes, according to Echo. Echo, very well-known memer guild. That's what I think of whenever I think of Echo, is memes.
I'm surprised they haven't died already with all their UIs turned off as well, because this is a very, very challenging boss even early on.
Dude, Liquid turned off their lifeline as well. They went back to 2 affixes.
Yeah, which makes sense because the Protoform barrier was the affix that was causing the issue on Stone Legion Generals, so they've turned that affix back off, which makes perfect sense. That explains where the wipes were coming from for them. So here comes...
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, I think you're overestimating how hard turning off the UI is, because I still remember someone going into your stream and saying, turn off your UI on Rygalon, you won't, and you did, and just tanked the whole fight without UI, so I don't know how hard it is.
That's true. I mean, these Echo players have done Sire denathrius hundreds of times now, so they can have a pretty good idea of where they need to be moving, but they've got to keep a good count in their head of how many stacks they have of Burden of Sin here. Otherwise, they might find themselves in trouble when we get to that first intermission.
Well, those are pre-assigned, so you aren't really... I guess if somebody messes something up, then it's an issue, but there should be pre-assigned.
Yeah, you got to stack with the right number of people, though, and keeping track of if you got one too many or one too few stacks is something that a UI helps a lot with. Here's what those players are doing. Okay, it looks like they have their UIs turned on. It looks like we may have just been lied to.
They're just playing in first person still.
They're all playing in first person, apparently, is the meme that is going on. Is not the no UI thing. I see.
Yeah, I think their first phase will be a little bit easier, too, because you can see they have 2 shamans and paladins, so they're not going to have to manage as many stacks. Because you can just, for people that haven't done Sire, you can just Ghost Wolf before the intermission, and the paladins can freedom themselves and take less, so...
I would not have wanted to play melee in first-person PoE. Look at all these pets that are just in his face, man. Look at... Get this wolf out of here! Get the wolf out of my face!
Doing the Fated Affix as well, they've got to make sure they don't miss one of those reconfiguration emitters or the Chaotic Essences. They've got to make sure they get those. But here's that Rep Paladin, all of those cool animations playing very... Oh my goodness. Very bright there on the screen.
Oh, this is chill. This actually looks way more chill than playing it in melee.
Yeah, everybody now getting sent back. Actually being forced out of first person briefly when the boss does that animation. But now they're able to make it to the middle of the room.
Yeah, how many doesn't make it, and it'll be really embarrassing if they don't.
What if you accidentally walked into Remornia there?
All right, they're all going to land. A lot of Fated Affixes are going to spawn all at once here. How are they going to get over to the platforms on this with first person going?
Those are questions that do not concern gamers of this caliber. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like they just probably know the general proximity where the portal would be and just use the... Oh, imagine if we didn't have the toy, how much harder that would be in the first person.
The gateway control shard, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Terrible news here for Echo.
Did he get the ball? Oh, they're wiping.
That is indeed a wipe. Yeah, anytime you see the boss casting the hand on one of those corner platforms, something has gone wrong, because the tank needs to get it off of that platform before that cast. But sometimes it can be a little uncooperative. You got to make sure you move nice and early, which can be especially hard if you're in first-person perspective. So, may have led to the wipe there.
Do you think their tanks are also playing in first-person POV?
They've just told, so they don't have to do this. They've just told us that for the memes they were going to do a poll. They said no UI, but they meant all in first person. I guess that's what they were all doing. The whole guild just decided to go first person for a poll, and that's how that one worked out. We'll see if they decide to continue it in a future poll. I imagine they probably won't, but maybe give Liquid a bit of time to catch up here now that protoform barrier is not on this boss.
Man, I was frantically pulling up the rules, being like, did I miss something here? Because I was like, beforehand, I was like, they are going to have to deal with curses, and then they are. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, they were just doing it for fun.
This is self-sabotage.
Doing it for the meme. A time-honored tradition among top guilds. Almost anything. You can ask a question of players in these guilds why they did something, and normally you'd expect a good answer, but if they say for the meme, you just have to accept it. It's always a valid answer.
Ooh. Liquid's about to come out of this intermission here in a second once they get some of these commandos killed off and donate the last few orbs to Renathal. They do have Lust available, so they should be able to get this boss killed off relatively quickly. This could put them in a position to catch up to Echo if Echo has any more mistakes on Sire Denathrius.
Yeah, it looks like we're just waiting for Echo to do another poll. Oh, they have the poll timer up in about 5 seconds. I feel like this time they're just going to do a normal poll now. I'm not sure if they would do a back-to-back meme one.
Okay. Top right as well. It looked like Liquid killed off all of their commandos. They got all of those orbs, and now they're dunking them into Renathal. They're going to be pushing out of this phase here in just a second.
Oh, the eruption. Is it soaked? Barely soaked there by Liquid. This is it's so nasty to do these soaks at the same time as well. They're not going to hit their lust just yet. They're not going to come out of the intermission just yet. They need to deposit one more orb, I think, here to get out of this intermission. Meanwhile, Sire for Echo. Sitting at 88%, you actually don't want to do too much damage to Sire because you need to make sure you get enough of those cleansing pain casts to remove the stacks of Burden of Sin so that you can make it to the middle in the first intermission, so...
In in addition to that, like a pretty common strategy amongst most guilds at this level is like they want to completely clear all of the stacks off of some of their Moonkid players, like one of their Moonkid players, so that they can stamp roar all of their players and allow you to be able to walk towards that middle at like that 3 and that 4 stack mark pretty comfortably.
Yeah, you can see Lorgok there has just cleared his last stack of Burden of Sin, so that means he won't be silenced during the intermission, and he gets to actually hit the roar right when everybody is gripped towards the middle of the room. Hit everybody with it.
Because they're not pacified and they don't have to walk all the way into the middle.
Yeah, you can see Lorgok doesn't even get brought up by the blood price now that he doesn't have any stacks of that. Gets to just stay down and keep damaging the boss, living the easy life now. Meanwhile, living the very hard life is Liquid. They're getting flown around with all these affixes going off. They are in their lust, though.
Upheaval still looking a little better than Echoes did, though, so a lot more uniform.
It looks like Echo may still have some of their players inexplicably playing in first person for fun here. So we can see, it looks like they're Destro Lock.
Well, you say inexplicable. That's just Destro Lock POV.
Okay, they're all just, at least 4 of them are just doing it again. They're just still in first-person mode for fun on Sire here. Again, we're pretty sure they don't have to be. This is just something they are choosing to do. Yeah,
is it just their DPS, you think? I doubt that their healers...
It's almost their whole raid, or maybe even their whole raid, apparently, are doing this for fun here as they get into that March of the Penitent.
I can't imagine their tanks playing this boss in first person. Like, that sounds like a pain.
I mean, that was how we wiped last time. We'll have to look out for it this time. The first hand of P2 is the scary part for making sure that the tank has gotten off the platform.
Yeah, so if you were to tank this in first person, what would be like the hardest part, you think? Because I know you tank, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on which tank spec you're playing, right? If you're Miraz, you can just put down a Transcendence over here, and you don't need to, like, aim that or anything. But if you're Roger and you're trying to get back over, you're going to need to use, like, Goblin Jump or play Venthyr to get back over to the other platform, and either of those things would be things I would not be comfortable trying in first person, so... Hopefully they're going to have Miraz do a Transcend here and bring the boss. Yeah, exactly. Miraz has just Transcended back out. Sire is going to AFK for a little bit and then teleport over. And now Miraz is going to have Sire over there for the Racking Pain. Once this Racking Pain cast starts, it's too late. The boss is already not going to teleport again, so you need to make sure that it's already off the corner by then. And then it brings you all back to the middle. Everybody can take the Lantern through, or the Mirror through. Beautifully handled there by Echo.
Okay, so in the top right, though, Liquid finally getting Stone Legion Generals dealt with. They're waiting a little bit for the RP of Sire Denathrius to activate before they're able to pull this boss. But, I mean, this put them in a good position to be able to potentially catch up.
How do you dodge Massacre in first person?
You just dodge.
I mean, they've seemed to do it. Yeah, incredible.
Why are they better in first person than I am in third person? I don't understand.
It is a mystery. All right, so they've actually dealt with all 4 of the named ads, I think, and they're just on Kabbalists now. It's the next reconfiguration emitter spawns. Meanwhile, Liquid still waiting on Sire's monologue. Narco going down.
They have a B-res in 7 seconds, so it's not too bad. It's not ideal, but the Protoform Barrier coming out here, they're going to get that res in just a second. I suspect that, I mean, Echo's looking pretty fine. What do they need to get the boss to? Is it 35% that he can push into the phase, or after time? Because they changed the percent. It used to be 40.
It's 37% now, or it's time-based, yeah.
Okay, so it's 37 now. So, I mean, they're going to need to pump a little bit more damage.
I think it'll probably end up just transitioning based on time, given the way their damage is looking right now, but maybe if they get some good damage from a Fated Power, see how this works out for them. They do have to kill a couple more Kabbalists. They're going on a little bit of an adventure right now to the next set of Kabbalists.
Yeah, one thing that we're going to have to... Oh, sorry, I was going to say, one thing we're going to have to worry about a little bit in the Phase 3 is if... With the first-person players, especially since they're in the different phases, they're really going to have to be careful not to walk into each other, because that will most certainly cause a wipe.
It looks like they've zoomed out now that P2 has started. Very understandable play from Echo.
They don't want anything to do with Massacre in first person.
I was curious, given how well they dodged that Massacre. That did not look like first-person gaming, so... Indeed, well done by Echo, and they are now deploying the full force of the third-person camera. 43% on Sire here. They are nearly done with the last Kabbalist here.
We also have Just Wait in chat saying that only stage 1 was a first-person attempt. So he's one of the Echo analysts, and so basically he's confirming that it's only P1.
So they're nearly ready to make the push here. One more Massacre is going to come out for Echo. And then they're actually well ahead on damage. So they're just going to kind of chill here. You can see Lorgok not casting any spells, waiting for a little bit, throwing in a Wrath, but mostly they are just going to do this first hand. And then they are going to push to 37% and start the last phase. Half the raid runs back through the mirror. This is the mythic twist. Phase 3, you send half your raid down through the mirror again, and now they're in an alternate realm where everything that knocks back instead pulls forward. And you'll see that here, where half the raid is going to get knocked back, the range stack, but the melee stack actually getting pulled through and into Sire. And if any player that's in the opposite realm as each other touches, they explode. And then both die.
Probably wipe, yeah. Mini going down. Do you think that this boss is killable at 280 item level with one person dead for this whole entire phase?
Yes, I think they should be okay with the extra faded powers as well.
Oh, okay. Another thing is you see that the Lust has been activated. We don't know which phase the Lust is activated because the Lusts are unique per phase.
Yeah, you can Lust upstairs and downstairs at different times. Does look like it's upstairs that has sent the Lust here. Downstairs maybe holds it. I know back on Progression when you had like 4 Unholy DKs, you would hold it for their army.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember we would separate in the different phases, and then if you were one of the unfortunate Lust players, I think we had a few accidental Lusts in the wrong realms with the voice comm calls, but it's pretty interesting interaction.
Ooh, look at this. They're going to be gating here to make sure that they can get their seeds placed in the right spot. Look like Lorgok has that seed on him.
Wow.
You know, that's kind of not a great spot to drop it, but I think that they can get that seed soaked just looking at where it was placed there.
Yeah, Lorgok using a great disengage to cancel that knock. Frago is down as well, so we have 9 players alive in each realm. That is enough, but it's not a lot. Mini's gonna go down as well, or Lorgok's gonna go down as well here. They're gonna hit the Lust, I think downstairs at this point. 14% on Sire, but is this going to be enough? They're going to start bleeding out here with these players being dead.
I'm not sure if they have the damage to be able to kill this, especially at this low item level. Like, the damage check week 1 on this fight was just pretty hefty. I mean, they've had people dead for a while, Dratnos.
We still have 2 Massacres to go, though, before the Enrage, right? The 3rd Massacre down here is the Enrage. But here comes 2nd Massacre. They're grouping up for it. Sinister Reflection.
Yeah, they're really going to have to be careful because Liquid is entering into the 2nd phase now, so if they wipe now, that'd be really scary for Echo.
Okay, Echo's sending every immunity against that combination overlap of Knockback, Massacre, and Ravage.
Okay, they have it.
4% on Sire. The damage is more than enough here for them.
Purse the Boss is a meme. I saw this on a Dratnos stream before.
See, sometimes you gotta. There it is, though. Echo are going to earn the extra bounty of cash for their charity of choice, Direct Relief, by winning the entire raid here.
Ooh,
Sire denathrius is going down. Well played by the European Guild. Unfortunately, looks like Liquid are having a wipe here on P2 as well. The same way that Echo wiped the first time as well. Sire not teleporting off of that first platform. Wow.
I am impressed that they were able to full sweep all 3 of the checkpoints today. Getting just doing those bosses while they have to make sure that they like wait to have the person answer questions. They're also playing down, playing first-person POV for some things. They had to play down 4 item levels at certain points as well. Echo really showed up and did a lot of good stuff. And you can see in the bottom left, they got $32,500 for today. Liquid in the bottom left, not a bad bounty. $10,000 even still for their charity. We are going to be back tomorrow as well. So there's still more cash up for grabs for each
yeah, I think there'll be even more going over to Liquid's charity as well. We're giving them the option now to see if they would like to play Sire denathrius. It looks like I'm seeing a Hearthstone cast though, so maybe they've decided against it. We'll see what they want to do. I definitely want to see them do this fight.
You know, I don't know if this is too surprising. I remember at the start of the day, I believe it was you, Dratnos, who said, You know, this should be good for Liquid here because they got world first, but it's important to remember Team Liquid didn't get world first in Castle Nathria. No, that was Complexity Limit that got world first in Castle Nathria. Completely different guild.
Of course. And Liquid
Sire.
didn't even put up a result in Castle Nathria, whereas Echo got world second. So unsurprising that Echo won then, of course.
This is
But like, if they don't go for Sire here, you know, we should really see it as a saving power and energy to come back stronger tomorrow and do the same thing that Echo did today, where they just full sweep, right?
I think they should I think Liquid should go in first person, everyone one shot it just for like a huge flex. I think that'd be really cool.
All right, here's a look at the winning roster for Echo. The players coming in, of course, Stripe in that raid lead position. Several other names you'll recognize here. Mirez and Roger Brown were our interviewees. And many of these other players were playing in first person as a result of Roger Brown's interviewing skills. So we'll see if they have any words for him afterwards.
I think it's just, from like a metagame perspective, it just shows how important it is to use your lifelines at smart times. It seemed like Liquid kind of got stuck a little bit with the lifeline on Stone Legion Generals. A very difficult fight to be playing 4 affixes on.
Yeah, we were even talking about it, Nagura, right? Where it's like, where do you use those fateds if you haven't used them on, let's say, the easier bosses? And Council looked fine enough, but SLG was just a whole different beast.
Yeah, I think it definitely, because having 2 affixes seems nice, right? Because you get the bonuses, and 2 affixes, depending on which ones, are somewhat easy to handle still. But if you have all 4 affixes, all of a sudden it can get very chaotic if the boss itself also has a lot of mechanics. So I think using them on difficult bosses definitely might not be the play for tomorrow, but we will see.
Anyhow, there was so much money being raised, and that is what it's all about, right? So maybe give a shout out to Echo, because they fought, what's it, claws and nails or something? Like, they fought really hard to get those charity goals for Direct Relief, and they managed to round up $32.5 thousand, which is so much.
Yeah, that's
claws
amazing.
and nails, of course.
Yeah, they were fighting claws and nails and got that 32.5.
This is so messed up.
She said it, I'm just reiterating claws and nails.
I was
2 things that go together great.
Of course, Liquid also raised money
humans
for AbleGamers, and they managed to gather 17,500 for AbleGamers, which is also a great feat. But hopefully tomorrow, Liquid is going to do a bit better, because they need to catch up and raise some more money for their charity.
Yeah, I agree with Xyronic that I'm really looking forward to a fired up quiz segment, so really gonna need Liquid to get first to one of the checkpoints so we can see how that goes.
We also have some sus bosses tomorrow. I mean, those Sepulcher bosses, if you're playing them with curses and a lot of things that we can throw at the teams, there could be some very interesting activities happening.
Yeah, and with that item level too, right? With 280? That seems very difficult, because I think Castle Nathria, on live servers at least right now, seems quite a bit easier compared to Sepulcher, so we'll see how that goes.
I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of just see them send the affixes on the earlier bosses. Like we saw, I don't remember if it was both or Echo, but send it on Devour at the start. Because sometimes the idea behind that might be if we just get this boss killed this much faster, we could just move on. So I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe adopt that, but we'll see. They all are way smarter than I am, so we'll see what they do.
Yeah, and keep in mind, from next AD onwards, we're also going to be able to activate a second affix on each of the bosses ourselves on the live service as well. So all of you can test out that second affix as well.
All right, it sounds like we have THD and Scripe called in now after that day 1 Castle Nathria. Hello, can you guys hear us?
Hello, hello?
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. Okay,
hello.
Awesome.
Hello.
Welcome.
I can hear it now.
Welcome, Scripe and THD.
There
Congratulations,
Oh, I see
Scripe.
THD.
I didn't expect him.
THD, why are you rubbing your chin like an
I can't hear. I don't know if you guys hear me.
Oh, we can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you, THD.
Wait,
Yeah.
we can hear you. Give him a thumbs up.
All right,
We're gonna
well,
figure it
we'll
out.
We'll try and sort it out. Yeah. Oh,
Good. I hear. You guys hear
you're
me?
good. All right. Legendary.
Welcome.
Hello.
So, Scripe, how was the day for you? How was raiding the race?
Went good, I think. A bit better for us, but I think in general it was just fun for everyone. I'm sure the whole Quadra affix idea quite crazy from Blizzard to implement, but we loved it. It was very fun. It could have been harder, the bosses, but at the same time, when it's too hard, it doesn't really feel like a chill environment. So I think this was pretty fine. Maybe a bit harder next time.
THD, I have a question.
Wow.
So,
You want less item
Jack
level?
talked about. they could go less item level.
Roger already played that card. It didn't go too well, Scribe. Maybe not ask for harder things.
I mean, we could do 240 item level, no weapon.
You have to kill the bosses, THD, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you got the affixes, right? Should be enough.
Ooh, true. Why'd you put the lifelines on Stone Legion generals, man? Like, what was that?
I mean, it should have been fine. I mean, the lifeline. The reason the thought process is quite simple, really. Protoform Barrier and the Chaotic Essence is way better than anything else. So because those two are way better than anything else, we just put them on anything that didn't have essences. But
that
the
makes
barrier
sense.
ended
How
up
did it
killing
work out for
Renethal.
you?
The barrier, it has a bug and it kills Renethal, so that was good.
That was a bit unfortunate for sure.
I feel like the North Americans though beta testing the feature.
Yeah,
really
makes
emblematic thing here for us. So that'll be fixed, I'm sure, now when all the rest of us have to deal with that on live.
For sure. I mean, I have a suggestion.
Okay. I'm
We
listening.
should do a quiz, me versus Scribe.
Oh no.
Okay, so
I gotta be honest. I failed on the same questions that Roger failed on, so I'm a bit scared.
oh wait,
I
do
was
you
gonna
already know the
ask
question?
Scribe.
I don't know the question.
I was gonna
so-
ask, like, how long are you going to hold this against Roger?
I don't know. Maris knew it, but I think if you're a tank, then you can understand that the evasive riposte is like the mix of two tank abilities. But when you're not a tank, you're not even making tank Vicaras. Like you don't even look at these debuffs really. So I also thought it may have been like it was between the two, and I would have voted the same way Roger voted. So I don't blame him. It's fine. It was a bit rough.
All right.
I was a bit shocked that we have 6 people, but yeah.
I have a question for THD. Would you have known how many times you've wiped on Sludgefist?
No. Well, the first pull was good because we practiced a lot before the run, so like we got like
No, I
maybe
mean,
50 pulls in.
On your first kill,
so-
like
First
The
kill.
quiz question.
That was one of the quiz questions.
Yeah, this one.
Oh yeah, there we go. Do you know the answers?
Do you know what it is? Do you know what
I
it
know
is?
what
'Cause
it
sounds like
is.
Scribe.
I think it's.
I don't know. No.
167. That could be my guess. This
got
is a
it?
toughie. This is like.
I think
I
that
know
is
that.
correct.
That is correct.
is
That's
it?
the answer.
Wow, I am.
Yep,
Yeah, see,
good
this is why
job.
they should have put me on the.
Jesus.
Yep.
Isn't that what Roger voted?
Scribe.
No, Roger said
No, he
178, I think.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw whatever it glue up on the screen. I didn't listen to it, so I assumed he voted that and was wrong. Okay. I would have said
No, the one that's glowing is
Of course, I
correct.
would have known. I see. I had it muted, so I didn't see. I just saw it light up. Okay. Yeah, I would have said 167 as well. I thought the logic he had was.
Oh,
he just
sure
says,
you would.
Whatever's the
He would
best,
say it.
because he would only expect the best out of the options from Team Liquid. So that's why he would vote A. But
I didn't.
Apparently, that's not what he was thinking.
No, I remember. So like I have like a memory of an elephant. I don't know if you guys know elephants have really good memory. So like I just knew that it started with a 1. That was for sure, and then I think it was a 6. If I remember. It was a long time ago though. It was
There you
almost
go.
2 years ago.
All right, so you guys looking forward to Sepulcher the first ones tomorrow? Anything between that and Castle Nathria? Any preference between the raids?
Preference. Let's see.
I think Castle Nathria is a bit fun, but it was like very long time ago. With Sepulcher, I had a sneak peek into the raid chat saying maybe we get even less eye levels. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna depending on how little eye level it will be. It might be more fun or not. We'll see.
I mean, they did nerf that one a lot more, so I mean, it probably is fine if with the lower item roll. I mean, Jailer,
the 140.
They did, they are kind of, they're a bit mean. They did put the worst affixes on Jailer. Bit mean. If you get the essences, he just kind of dies. I don't know if you guys have done Jailer this week. He's a bit easy with the essences.
The creation
you
spark
don't
is
like
weird
it when
because
the
it
bombs
speeds up
go
your bomb
faster,
debuff, right? Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
that is the problem with creation spark on, and if you miss it, you have to dispel it instantly because it does cosmic damage. So at the beginning of each phase, he does like insane amounts of cosmic damage increase. So the people with the debuff will just die if you don't dispel it, and if you miss any of the bombs,
True. How does creation? Did we have creation spark on Ragolon already? Is that gonna speed up your debuff as well when you have to go into the puddles downstairs?
We've never had it, but so far that boss has only ever spawned the sparks when you go downstairs.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that
or
is
like any other affix.
Upstairs is a
The
bit
last two
cursed.
ones- Yeah, for sure.
Alright, I hope on Halandris, I hope they give you all of the affixes during the transition phases. So you have to end up soaking sparks and interrupt an emitter while the Halandris is walking.
That would be good.
That would be good content.
All right, well, thanks to both of you for joining us. Good luck in Sepulcher tomorrow. Congratulations again, Stripe, today. And congrats on winning some money for your charities. But for now, we'll let you go. Thanks again.
Good luck tomorrow. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
All right, that was Scripe from Echo and THD Lock from Team Liquid. And they are from the two teams that are doing this race here with us. Well played, though.
So they should.
By
definitely
Echo
not
today.
send THD.
We're going to see them coming back tomorrow for Sepulcher of the First Ones, which should be even equally as exciting with all those lifelines. I'm curious to see where they decide to send them. I feel like it's got to be those early bosses, because those late bosses with all the powers, that's going to be extremely scary.
I mean, you heard THD. He was saying item level 140 and just send it. Maybe they're going to do the same thing they did today again.
140, huh?
140?
Requesting
I don't know about that.
All right, well, that is going to be the end of our day here at Xy'mox's Charity Cash Part 1. Make sure you tune in tomorrow in 22 hours and 15 minutes. That's 11 a.m. Pacific time, other times in different time zones. And we will have Sepulcher of the First Ones going on. Until then, though, that's the end of day one. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.